Welcome back to the MAV Chatter podcast, brought to you by Harrison's USA. MAV fans, you may know Harrison's as the place for workwear and work boots, but there's so much more. Harrison's is the home of Work, Western, and WOW. Yes, they're the Southeast's leader in Carhartt, and nobody has more in-stock work boots. But they also carry top Western brands like Ariat, Cinch, Wrangler, and now featuring rock and roll denim. Their selection and customer service are sure to wow you. Go see them in the Mauldin store on New Neely Ferry Road or shop online at harrisonsusa.com. Remember, Harrison's is the home of Work, Western, and WOW. This is episode number 9, and I'm your host, Jim Maciejewski, Athletic Director at Mauldin High School. Joining me today is head football coach Andre Cook and junior middle linebacker Evan Hrushka. Coach Cook, Evan, thanks for being here with us tonight.
Thanks for having me here. Thank you, Coach.
Let's go ahead and jump in. Coach Cook, we'll start with you. Talk to us a little bit about your background, where you came from, sports you played in high school, college, and where you've been along the coaching trail.
Yeah, so spent most of my life growing up in Buffalo, New York, in the Buffalo, New York area. Went to Lancaster High School up there, former home of the Redskins, now the Legends. And, I was a three-sport athlete all through high school. Started off in ninth grade, played baseball and football and basketball, and got to a little point where I figured out that football was probably going to be my deal, and thought that track would be extremely helpful if I wanted to play at any time in college. And so started running track in the 10th grade and did that on throughout there. Was fortunate enough to be able to play varsity in all three sports from 10th grade on, and had some success. It was a lot of fun. Great high school athletic atmosphere at Lancaster, and was fortunate enough to earn a scholarship to Youngstown State University up in Youngstown, Ohio, and had no idea who they were, honestly. One of my buddies actually saw that, like, they dropped off a program at the school, and I didn't even know who it was. I only knew about big time ball. And he's like, they've won multiple national championships. And, then they offered me, and ended up going there, playing for legendary coach Jim Tressel, and was fortunate enough to win a national championship there as well. And I mean, that's what I went there for, honestly. First person I met when I got there had like 6 rings on his fingers between Youngstown State and Georgia Southern. And so met Doc Spurgeon there, and I just said, I want one of those, man. And so went there and was fortunate enough to be able to win a national championship while we were there in 97. And then actually graduated in 99, moved back to Buffalo, and then moved to the Carolinas in 2000. Just wanted something different. Was in Charlotte, and started coaching, I guess, in 2004. And I didn't plan on coaching. There was a point where I actually hated football and tried to get away from it. And then, I don't know, it just kept calling me back, and I was working with kids and thought I wanted to coach again. And so in 2004, I ended up at North Mecklenburg High School right outside of Charlotte. Spent about 5 years in North Carolina before moving to South Carolina 2009. Was at Blythewood 6 years, Fairfield Central 2, River Bluff High School for 5. And then was at Airport, got my first head coaching job at Airport High School in 2022. And, then made the move to Mauldin, man. And it's been a lot of fun, a lot of wonderful people at Mauldin High.
Evan, did you know that Coach Cook and I went to the same high school? Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah. So here's a crazy story for you. So I was, middle school, I guess. Coach Cook's a couple years older than I am. And you couldn't tell with all this gray that I have in my beard and only the little bit that he has in his beard. But first Lancaster football game I ever went to, I'm sitting in the stands with my dad, and there's this, no disrespect to Coach Cook, right? But there's this little running back just freaking around the corner up the middle, like tearing it up, right? Pat McDonald was out there wearing white shoes. Jason Mangoni was the quarterback. The Lorenz brothers were killing people. Dave Davidzik running around, decapitating people. And the only thing I ever wanted to do was play football at Lancaster because of guys like Coach Cook. So fast forward to, I guess, 2 years ago, and I'm going through resumes when the job was open, and I'm flipping through, and there's Andre Cook, and I'm like, can't be. So I started reading, and it said Youngstown State University. I'm like, come on, there's no way. So I get his number. I text him, or I called him, and I said, Andre Cook? He goes, yes, sir. And I said, Andre Cook, number 5, Lancaster High School? And he goes, Mach? And like, I had zero idea he was down in the area coaching. I immediately texted our high school football coach, Coach Jankowitz, who's a legend in New York State. And I said, Andre's been down here for years, and you haven't told me? He goes, yeah, he's been in Columbia for several years. You didn't know? So everything he said about our high school, and it is a cool place. And actually shout out to Coach Rupp and the Lancaster Legends. Andre, they're going back to Rich for the 9th straight time. They beat OP last night 41-9, just absolutely curb stomped them. It was awesome to see.
41-9. Yeah, I saw that. I had Brandon Janis. I played against him in high school. He went to OP. They were reminiscing on Facebook about how, when they were there, they beat us. And I just reminded them that the last time we lined up senior year, it was 28-14. So you're only good as your last ball game. I try to let them know.
Absolutely. Well, let's turn it to you, Evan. After, now that we're finished telling war stories about our high school days, sports you other than football, obviously we know you're a football player, junior, play middle linebacker. Other than football, like what other sports did you play growing up?
I mean, I played them all basically. I played soccer, I played t-ball, I wrestled, I played Little League lacrosse. I mean, I really did it all, and football kind of just stuck with me.
What drew you to football that, that's your thing now? That's what you do.
I think the physicality of it all, and, being able to hit someone like that. Lacrosse, I get that. I feel like I get that just as much in lacrosse as I do in football, so those are my 2 favorite sports right now.
Gotcha. I could definitely see the parallels. Coach, back to you. Looking back from last year to this year, obviously last year wasn't the year one that any of us envisioned. To this year now, we found out this morning we're going to River Bluff High School. I guess your old stomping grounds. To play them in the first round next Friday night. What is one thing, and again, I'm sure there's 50, but what is the thing that you're most proud of these kids from what, the year they had last year to where we are now going to play in a first round playoff game?
Yeah, I think probably the biggest thing is, they committed in the off season. They really bought in, and they had every reason not to. I mean, who's this guy? He comes in here, we go 0-10, and he's telling us about how much better things are going to be, and they got worse. And then we went into the off season and really attacked the weight room, and they bought in, and Evan was in there, and we had that 4th block class in team sports, and I mean they came in and they got after it every day to a point where on days that I told them we might not lift, they were like, why? And they wanted to still get after it. And so that was a definite huge part of the culture change in it. And I think what that helped them to do is build up some resiliency so that, although even this year didn't start off the way we want to, we dealt with the hurricane and came back. And immediately, we're there against Easley and we're down 21-0. And those guys, I mean, they didn't quit and they kept fighting. And I think it gave them a sense of understanding, like you're always in the game as long as you keep playing. And I'm just really proud of the way that they stuck it out for us to be in position to go to the playoffs, because it could have very well gone the other way had we started off 0-3 or 0-4, and losing the Hillcrest before the hurricane came. And, then for them to bounce back from that, that was my biggest concern coming back is like, what's the mentality going to be like They've been laid up in the house. Will we be ready to go? And they came back better than ever. So the bounce back from that was definitely huge and gave us an opportunity to go to the playoffs. And I think, probably on top of that is just, we were dead last in the region last year. And to finish, fifth out of eight teams this year, that says a lot about how much we've grown and how much these kids have contributed. And I'm just really looking forward to building off, this playoff run, hopefully, and then just on into the future.
Evan, same question. You were a part of it last year. What's one thing that you're most proud of? Obviously, being a leader of our program, playing middle linebacker, the leader of our defense. What is one thing that you're most proud of from last season to present day?
I think we, took this year a lot more serious than last year. And I mean, like Coach said, we really attacked the weight room. There weren't days that I would go in there and I wouldn't see people not working hard. And I couldn't say the same, for other years I played, but I'm definitely proud of how hard we've worked this year. And I know our record doesn't really reflect that, but I do know how close we are to really breaking through and winning.
Coach Cook asked me after the spring game, what do you think? And I think the first thing I said to him on the field that night was how much different we looked physically, and that was the first time, I'm in the way, I walked through, I kind of, check in, see what you guys are doing, trying to stay out of your way, just, being curious. But that was an eye opener, like, oh my goodness, like the work. And that was only a couple months. And then, watching you guys play, the biggest compliments I've received as the athletic director over the last several months from other athletic directors who talk to their football coaches, same exact thing, how much more physical we are, how hard we play, and the improvements and strides that you guys have made. So, you two sitting here, I tip my hat to you. You guys have done a really good job. Also, with the understanding, Evan, you said it, not where we want to be yet. This is just another one of those stepping stones. But it's an exciting time for sure within our program. Evan, we'll stay with you. You're only a junior. You got this year's left. You got hopefully a couple more football games left. You have a lacrosse season, your senior year next year. What are your plans in the future? What do you have on the horizon?
Like athletically?
Yeah, athletically, college, no college. Like, where do you envision yourself in, I guess, a year and a half?
Well, I mean, my number one plan right now is to be able to play at a college level, and I'm going to keep working on the field and off the field. Athletics is everything when it comes to playing at the next level, and I think I understand that better than most athletes. Yeah, I guess that's really my plan. Is I'd love to play football or lacrosse or any sport at the next level because competing is really what I like to do.
Well, watching you play every Friday night, that's apparent. And being a former linebacker myself, I enjoy watching you play, man. I wasn't half the player you are, and I am, like, deep down, like you wouldn't know it, but I don't know, maybe you do know it. I love football. Like, if I could do it over again, man, I would have played college football. I'm football to my core, and watching guys like you play are the reason we are going to the playoffs, and we have, improved our standing in the region. So I just want to, just let you know how much I appreciate your effort and again, your leadership and the things you do on the field. You do an outstanding job. So do you have any place in particular, that you're looking at going? Just any place you can go, you want to go?
I guess really my dream school would be Ohio State. It's where I grew up, and it's one of the biggest schools around there, and I'd love to play Ohio State.
Awesome. Coach Cook, let's flip it to you. You got to play in high school for a legendary high school coach. You got to play at the collegiate level for, what became a legendary college football coach. What were, I guess, one from each, the most impactful things you learned from Coach Jank and Coach Tressel?
I'll start with Coach Jank, man. I'll be honest. Like when at first, like I said, I hated football, but really him coaching me is really why I wanted to be a football coach. Like I remember just his place in that school. He was the head football coach and the athletic director when I was there, and you know, he just always was like so representative of everything that Lancaster football was all about, Lancaster High School, and then I'd say on top of that is just the importance of just carrying on the tradition and how to create tradition. And I mean, you know how it is, much like, you know, I try to tell kids it's really hard for them to understand even what it was like for us coming out of like getting introduced. Like we got introduced every Friday night, players, starters, to the whole crowd, and I get chills when I think about it. But just honoring those traditions and different things that you have that you create. And one thing that I always remember, we had built with pride, backed by tradition, is something that we had. And I can think of so many things, right? Like all it takes is all you got. Like, and I carried those things with me for a long time, just from just seeing how to play with pride and pride in your community and pride in your school. And I think that's the other thing that really drew me to you know, college athletics. Like I know Coach Jankowitz, you know, that was his high school. And so like high school football is everything to me because of those things, like the traditions and you know, and him as a leader, man, he exemplified everything that had to do with like, I'm going to carry on this legacy of this program and represent it with the utmost, you know, outstanding persona that there is. And so I'll always be grateful for that. Coach Tressel, I think, helped me to understand a little bit more about what it meant to create a great football team and have a great football program. And I think the number one thing I learned from him is the importance of like love in your program. And that's why I preach it so much. You know, I can think back to when I got there, you know, and they had just played for 4 straight national championships. And the year before I got there, they won back-to-back national championships. And then, you know, I get there as a freshman. I'm starting as a true freshman, and we went 3-8, and that wasn't the standard. And then the next year we came back and went 8-3. And then, like right at that moment when we didn't get in the playoffs that year, that 8-3 year, he's like, you know, let there be no doubt next year that we belong. And from that moment on, the standard was set that we were going to get back to the playoffs. We were going to get back to the national championship because that was the standard for the program. But it was all like harnessed in like love and like, you know, if your teammates make mistakes, you know, it ain't, hey man, what are you doing? You suck or whatever. It was always like, hey, don't worry about it. Like next play. And the importance of being able to build your teammates up and coaches building their players up and letting them know that you believe in them. And so through that, I try to, I guess, lead with the mindset of putting love first rather than fear. Like I don't think fear is a great motivator. I mean, it can be at times, but it doesn't last because what ends up happening is I feel like, you know, kids, when you lead with fear, they become afraid to make mistakes, and it leads to mistakes a lot of times. And so that and just being excellence. And then the last thing I'll say from Coach Tress is he taught me with the word perseverance, man, because I didn't know. And, you know, I grew up being, you know, more talented than everybody most of the time and able to, you know, not that I didn't work hard, I did, but I had a lot of success because I was talented. And so usually I didn't have to face a whole lot of hard times on the field or really in life because of, I don't know, because I had a good support system and I had a lot of success athletically. And once I got to college, you know, everybody was good. And I went through a lot of things because I was on my own more so. And then he taught me about perseverance and the importance of being able to bounce back from adversity and those things. And just being able to push through even when things aren't, what you think they're supposed to be. And I'll always remember that.
Evan, what are one or two things over the last 2 years you've taken away from Coach Cook and our current coaching staff you feel like you can take with you, similar to Coach Cook? Mid 40s, has a family. He's still looking back on some of the things that he was taught as a player. And I know you're a junior in high school. Is there anything like you can mention off the top of your head that our coaching staff and Coach Cook reiterates day after day that you feel is important?
I think one of the things they value the most at this program is hard work, without a doubt. They value that over everything else. All the coaches on the field will tell you, make a mistake, but if you're going to make a mistake, make it at 100%. And I think that's great, because if you're not working 100%, then you shouldn't be out on the field at all. And I think that's something they've drilled into us, all of our players. And that's the thing I've taken away most from Coach Cook and the coaching staff.
No, that's great, because if you think about it, after it eventually ends, right, there comes a point in time when somebody tells you can't play anymore, right? But the work ethic is going to need to be there in your job, with your family, in all aspects of your life. So that's definitely outstanding. We'll stay with you, Evan. Again, not really related to football or school or anything, but what's something you could share about yourself that not many people know, right? Like a talent, an interest. Chris Moore last year was my first guest, and he told me something that people really don't know, was that he loved to shop, right? He was like into fashion, right? So something like that. Like, what's something about you that not many people know?
I like to play chess.
Okay, there's
one of my good friends got me into it. We were on the bus ride to a game, and he pulled it out, and I was like, let me play. And I played against him, and I kind of got hooked onto it ever since.
So you were playing chess on the bus, like with a board? And
no, it was an app on his phone.
Oh, an app. I forget. It's 2024. Yeah, on an app. That makes
no doubt.
That makes sense. Good stuff. Chess. Awesome. Coach Hook, what about you? Something about you that not many people know?
Yeah, I like chess too, Evan. We'll have to play one day. Chess is a lot of fun. I learned how to play at a really young age, and it's I kind of got hooked to it as well. But I don't know. One thing is I can juggle. I will say that. Like, I got taught how to
Evan
juggle.
shaking his head. It looks like
Evan,
I don't believe
juggle.
this.
Okay, well, I'll show you tomorrow that I can juggle. That's something that I don't know. There was a guy that like came to cut our grass when I was in like 6th grade or something, and he's like, here, and he kind of showed me how to juggle with 3 balls, and so I can juggle tennis balls, and then I kind of taught my son how to juggle, because the great wide receiver AJ Green is that's how he worked on his hand-eye coordination, was by juggling. So I taught my son to do that. But I guess the other thing that people may not know about me, which should be obvious, but it isn't, is that I'm actually a pretty talented cook. And people always ask me all the time, like, can you cook? I'm like, with a name like Cook, you have to be able to cook. And so I can get in the kitchen and make just about anything. I can follow recipes very well, and I've made some very, very wonderful dishes. My wife will attest to that. But I enjoy cooking a lot. I think if I wasn't coaching football, I'd probably be in the food industry, making something. When I was in high school, I worked in the Galleria Mall Mach at South Philly Cheesesteak. And I worked there for 2 years, and was in there making steak sandwiches for the whole mall, especially and my favorite time was during Christmas when the mall was packed, and you put me on the grill when everybody's coming through there, and let's go. And that's the adrenaline rush I needed.
I bust tables at Salvatore's for a couple of years. That was my job.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, that was probably busy too.
Yeah, Christmas time was wild for sure.
No doubt.
Well, I guess Evan, we'll expect an invite then, right? After football season's over, we'll hopefully get to eat a good meal.
No doubt.
All right, kind of some random questions maybe to put you guys on the spot. Evan, we'll start with you. What is one person in history? Okay, it could be like anybody that has walked planet Earth. One person in history you would like to eat dinner with?
I mean, that's a hard one. Probably like Napoleon or somebody like that. Julius Caesar.
Okay.
They're real powerful people, you know.
So again, this is episode 9. Never had Julius Caesar, Napoleon, so that's a good answer.
Yeah, no doubt.
Coach Cook, what about you?
I don't know, man. Eat dinner with, I don't know, probably Barack Obama. I think he's a cool guy. Very cool personality, and just to have that level of, I don't want to say control, but that level of responsibility, to learn some of the lessons that come from holding that office and being able to handle the criticism that comes with that office. I'd love to hear some of those stories.
Right, for sure. Evan, back to you. What is your favorite binge-worthy show?
I've been watching Yellow Jackets recently.
Yellow Jackets. What's that about?
You know what that is? It's
No, I haven't heard of it.
It's about a soccer team that crashed in the forest and they have to survive. I don't know where they crashed. Like Canada or something. It's nice. It's real cold out there.
I'm writing it down. Is it on Netflix?
Yes, sir.
In all the free time that I have, maybe I'll get to it next summer.
Yeah.
Coach Cook, what about you? Again, other than Huddle, right?
Other than Huddle, I mean, other than football.
Yeah.
Because that would be the next one. I was so excited a couple of weeks ago when they told me there was football on every day up until Thanksgiving. That was probably about 3 weeks ago, and so I make sure I find it. There was a little bit of action the other night watching MAC football, but binge-worthy shows. I don't know. I guess I got an old one. Like when Ozark was on, I definitely watched every single one of those, and then I had to watch it again with my wife. I enjoyed that show a lot. I did watch. I started Yellow Jackets. We didn't finish it, Evan. So I can agree with you on that. That was a pretty good show for me. I think, sometimes I try to get through a show and I watch 1 or 2 seasons. Then when they come to the 3rd season, I can't make it, man. But I did enjoy Ozark 100%. I thought that was an outstanding series.
That was epic. That was awesome. And
Yeah.
if you guys are Yellowstone fans, tomorrow night, Yellowstone's back.
Yeah.
So season 5, just throwing it out there. All right, one more for you guys. I don't know, Evan, if you're a reader or not. Do you have a favorite book, or are you currently reading something that you want to share?
I was reading White Fang by Jack London recently. That's about it, though. It's about 2 men in the cold again, and they're being chased by a pack of wolves, and their dogs keep going missing one by one.
Awesome. Coach Cook, what about you? Are you, again, I know you're busy time, but is there something that you have read you could recommend? And again, I'm sitting here writing this stuff down. This is more for me than anything else.
So I'm not, for some reason, I'm not able to read like fiction. I don't know why, I don't know. Like I can't watch sci-fi on TV. I don't watch fiction. I can't do it. It has to be like real life situations for me to be able to relate to it. A book that I'm still reading that I feel like I've been reading for 2 years, or maybe I just went back through it multiple times, is Why the Best Are the Best. And uh, it's about it's the perspective from an assistant coach on the Boston Celtics world championship team back when they had KG and Paul Pierce and all those guys. And he runs through some of the things and the reasons why those guys were as great as they were. You know, and I'll read it and then I'll kind of get stuck, but I always kind of refer back to it. I've used it with the kids before to talk to them about things. I think something really powerful in it is it's like these are 25 words of power and motivation for you to take into account when trying to be great. And so I look back at it for that. And then Uncommon by Tony Dungy is something that, you know, I really enjoyed, you know, just to help me as a man and as a coach and as a person to just strive to be the best I can each day and, you know, make sure that my faith is at the forefront of everything I do.
So when the hurricane hit, you both of you guys may be interested in this one. Went out and bought a book by Michael Silver. It's called it's over there on the bookshelf. The Way is the Why, or something to that effect, and or the Why is the Way. So essentially, what he did, he followed Mike McDaniel, Sean McVay, Brendan Shanahan for a couple years, and essentially it's about that coaching tree. Matt LaFleur from the Packers, and essentially breaking down their system and how detail oriented they are with everything they do. And there's a why behind every scheme that they have, whether it's how wide their splits are or how detail oriented they are with, you know, a quarterback's footwork or like it is an unbelievable book. You know, if you're a football geek, about, you know, the intricacies of that system that they all run, it's pretty good. And I read it, and it's like a 400-page book. I think I read it in 3 days. It was unbelievable. I couldn't put it down. It was really, really good. So
I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna get that book.
It's good.
That sounds awesome.
Really good. And again, it talks about how, and this applies to players too, you know, how when they were coming up, their head coaches that they worked for would intentionally put them on the opposite side of the ball with what they were accustomed to doing. So when the day and time came, when they were coordinators, when they became head coaches, they had the full view of being able, I'm not just I don't just coach quarterbacks, or I don't just coach defensive line. You know, I can coach, I'm a football coach. And that's, again, another reason I recommend this book to all coaches and even players to read, is just to be as multifaceted within that sport as you possibly can. So that's my take on, I guess, on that question. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you for listening to today's episode of MAV Chatter, and a special thank you to Coach Cook and Evan. Our goal is to post content with student athletes, coaches, faculty, staff, and administration twice a month, so please subscribe. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and don't forget to look for the Ranch newsletter on all of our social media accounts and website each Monday. You will get game results, schedules, ticket information, and learn about the other great things going on inside Mavland. Again, thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Go Mavs!